Admiral Park stood at attention, his face tight as the aliens laughed. The grand hall of the Galactic Confederation glittered with strange lights. Beings from 100 worlds gathered around, staring at the human delegation with eyes, sensory stalks, and other organs Park couldn't name. Earth had worked for generations to reach the stars. Now that they had finally built ships that could travel faster than light, these creatures treated them like children who had just learned to walk. Silence, called the High Counselor, a tall being with silver skin. The human representatives will speak. Park stepped forward. He had practiced this speech for weeks. The United Earth government thanks the Confederation for this opportunity. We bring new ideas and perspectives to. A rumbling sound interrupted him. The Bentari ambassador, Krull, was making a noise that might have been laughter. His 3-meter body rippled as 6 limbs gestured wildly. Humans, Krull said loudly, still relying on physical matter for computation. How quaint. The chamber filled with alien laughter. Some clicked, others hummed, and a few made wet bubbling sounds. All were laughing at humanity. Park's face burned, but he maintained his composure. 20 years in Earth's space forces had taught him patience. Behind him, Director Kim whispered, "Let them laugh." Kim led Earth's science division. She was small but fierce, with keen eyes that missed nothing. Park trusted her more than anyone in the galaxy. The Confederation accepts Earth's application, Krull announced when the laughter died down. Though we suggest your species focus on supporting roles, leave the complex matters to evolved minds. Park wanted to argue, but Kim's light touch on his arm stopped him. They'll see, she whispered. Project Umbra remains our secret. Park nodded slightly. Project Umbra was Earth's most closely guarded discovery. Technology no other species had imagined possible. The meeting ended with little respect shown to the humans. As they left, other species turned away or made dismissive gestures. They see us as pets, Park said, once they were alone in their quarters. Barely smarter than animals. Kim smiled thinly. Let them. Underestimation is our advantage. Over the next weeks, Earth officially joined the Confederation. Humans were given the worst jobs, the smallest territories, and the least desirable trading rights. Park filed complaints, but the Confederation ignored them. They think we should be grateful, he told Kim during a secure call. As if letting us join their club is enough. Kim nodded. The Umbra tests are proceeding well. 6 more months, perhaps less. Good, Park said. We may need it sooner than we thought. 3 months later, the first human colony on Proxima Centauri B went silent. 5,000 people, gone without warning. Their distress signal lasted only seconds before cutting off. Park immediately requested emergency aid from the Confederation. After 2 days of delay, they sent a single scout ship. No signs of attack, the alien captain reported. Likely a human error, perhaps life support failure or internal conflict. Park knew better. The colony had been well supplied with experienced leaders. Something had taken them. When he demanded a larger search effort, Counselor Thrax, a bulbous creature from a gas giant, laughed openly during the council meeting. Unfortunate, but expected, Thrax said. Primitive species often fail at colonization. The resources would be wasted. 2 weeks later, the second colony vanished. This one had been closer to Confederation space, with 10,000 humans building a new life. Park called an emergency meeting with Earth's leadership. Their faces were grim on the screens around him. The Confederation has refused additional help, he reported. They suggested we focus on Earth rather than expansion. They're using us as bait, General Hume said. Something is out there, and they wanted to hit us first. Director Kim's image leaned forward. Admiral Park, I request permission to accelerate Project Umbra. We've made breakthroughs in the dimensional phasing technology. Explain, Park said. We can move objects, including ships, into dimensions beyond normal space. Our vessel can essentially become invisible, moving through what appears to be solid matter. Park thought of the missing colonies, of the dismissive alien laughter, of humanity's vulnerable position. "Proceed," he ordered. "Full priority." As the meeting ended, Park looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there, an enemy was moving. The Confederation knew what it was, but they had decided humans were expendable. "They think we're weak," he said quietly. "They'll learn." He didn't know then how soon that lesson would come, or how completely it would change humanity's place in the cosmos. But Park felt certain of one thing as he watched the distant stars. Humanity stood alone, and only their secret project could save them. 2 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, a secret base hummed with activity. Hidden from satellites and deep space scans, Project Umbra had operated here since before most of its workers were born. Director Kim walked through the main lab, nodding to scientists who stepped aside respectfully. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, showing the lines of worry that had deepened since the colony attacks. She entered the central chamber where Engineer Lee hunched over a workstation. Holographic equations floated in the air, spinning and connecting in patterns few humans could understand. "Progress?" she asked. Lee looked up, his eyes red from lack of sleep. He was the 3rd generation of his family to work on the project, his grandfather having been among the first to study the dimensional fracture. "See for yourself," he said, expanding the hologram with a gesture. The equations rearranged themselves, forming a stable pattern that pulsed with soft blue light. "The framework holds," Lee said, pointing to key points in the mathematical model. "Dimensional folding is possible. We've solved the quantum instability problem." Kim studied the equations. Her background wasn't in physics, but she had learned enough over the years to understand what she was seeing. "You're sure? This isn't another simulation?" "This is real data from the test chamber. The object actually vanished from our dimension and reappeared exactly where we predicted." Kim allowed herself a small smile. "How soon can we test the full system?" "The Phantom is ready," Lee said. "We just needed these final calculations." They walked together through a massive airlock into a cavernous space carved from the ocean floor. Inside floated a vessel unlike anything humans had officially built. The Phantom was sleek and black, its surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. No visible seams or connections marred its smooth exterior. It resembled a predator from the deepest ocean, deadly, efficient, and utterly alien. Captain Buck stood at its base, examining the entry hatch. He turned as Kim and Lee approached, his face serious but eyes bright with excitement. "Is it time?" he asked. Kim nodded. "The final calculations confirm what we hoped. The Phantom can move through higher dimensions." Bake had been chosen from thousands of candidates. He had the right combination of piloting skills, scientific understanding, and psychological stability needed for the mission. What they would ask him to do had never been done before. "Admiral Park is on his way," Kim said. "He wants to witness the final systems check." As if summoned by his name, Admiral Park entered with his security team. The soldiers remained by the door as Park crossed to join them. "Show me," he said simply. Lee activated his tablet, and a holographic display appeared above it. "This is what the Confederation thinks we know about physics," he explained, showing a simple 3-dimensional model. "This is what we actually discovered 50 years ago." The model expanded, sprouting new dimensions that folded in on themselves in impossible ways. 50 years of secret research since we discovered the dimensional fracture in Antarctica," Kim added. "The Confederation never suspected." "They believe we're centuries behind," Park replied, satisfaction evident in his voice. "Our advantage." Bick circled the Phantom, his hand running along its smooth surface. "How does it work?" "In simple terms." Lee switched on the main display, showing the engine core, a sphere of shifting patterns contained within overlapping fields. "Conventional space has 3 dimensions we can move through: up, down, left, right, forward, backward," Lee explained. "But mathematics proves at least 11 dimensions exist. We usually can't access them." "The Phantom changes that?" Buck asked. Yes. We've built a ship that can move sideways through dimensions 4 through 7. Lee activated the core with a command. The sphere in the display pulsed with energy. 7 dimensions confirmed, he announced as data flowed across screens. The vessel can move perpendicular to conventional space. It can essentially phase through solid matter by stepping into a higher dimension and back out again. Vake frowned slightly. And our enemies? He asked. The ones taking our colonies. Kim smiled, a rare expression on her normally serious face. They can only perceive 3 dimensions, she said. To them, we'll be ghosts. Park studied the Phantom with new appreciation. How soon can it be deployed? Final systems checked today, Lee said. Live test tomorrow. Combat ready in 3 days if all goes well. Not a moment too soon, Park replied. We've lost contact with a 3rd colony. Whatever is hunting us is getting bolder. Vake looked up at the vessel that would soon carry him beyond normal space. The Phantom will be ready, he said quietly. And so will I. As they prepared the final tests, none of them could know that they were about to change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The Phantom would soon prove that humans weren't as primitive as the Confederation believed. They were pioneers of a science no other species had mastered. The emergency alarm blared through Earth Command Headquarters. Admiral Park rushed into the control room, where screens showed a chaotic scene. A transmission from the Titan colony played on the main display, breaking up every few seconds. Repeat, this is not a drill. A woman's voice called through static. Her face appeared briefly, bloodied and terrified. Not pirates, something else. They come from nowhere. The transmission cut to black. Silence fell over the control room. Park turned to the gathered officers. How many people on Titan colony? 15,000, sir, someone replied. Park's jaw tightened. This was the 4th attack, but the first where they had received any transmission. Get me everything from that signal. Every frame, every sound. Hours later, Park met with Earth's Defense Council in a secure underground room. Intelligence Officer Choi stood before them, her uniform perfectly pressed despite having worked through the night. We've enhanced the Titan colony transmission, she said, tapping her tablet. The screen behind her showed images that made several council members gasp. Strange ships appeared in the colony footage. Dark vessels with shifting geometries that seemed to fold in on themselves. More importantly, Choi continued, we intercepted Confederation communications about the attacks. She played a recording of aliens speaking, translated into English by the computer. Another human colony gone. The buffer strategy works as planned. The Knicks remain focused on their territory. The Confederation knows, Park asked, anger rising in his voice. Choi nodded. Based on their communications, they've been fighting these Knicks for centuries, using our colonies as buffers while pretending to help us. Director Kim, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. They gave us the worst territories on purpose, the ones closest to Nick's space. General Yoon slammed his fist on the table. They're sacrificing our people. There's more, Choi said. We've gathered enough data to identify the Knicks. They appear to be ancient predators that hunt through dimensional shortcuts. They can partially phase between normal space and the 4th dimension, which is why they seem to appear from nowhere. Park thought of the Phantom, ready for its first real mission. Show me everything you have on their capabilities. The meeting continued for hours as they reviewed all available data. Captain Bug joined them, studying the Knicks' movements with particular attention. I see a pattern, he said eventually. Look at how they attack. He pointed to the simulation showing Knicks ships appearing near human settlements. They always attack from specific angles, always using the same dimensional approach. Bake manipulated the display, adding new dimensional overlays. The Knicks cannot perceive 7th dimensional space due to their evolutionary pathway. They hunt through the 4th and 5th dimensions, that's their territory, but they're blind to dimensions 6 and 7. Park understood immediately, which means the Phantom can strike without being detected. Exactly, Bak said. They'll never see us coming. Director Kim looked troubled. We need more time to prepare. The Phantom has only completed 2 test flights. Time is something we don't have, Park replied. The Confederation has been using us as sacrificial pawns. We need to show both them and the Nix that humans aren't easy prey. As they discussed strategy, a young officer burst into the room. Sir, urgent from Orbital Command. Park took the offered tablet and read the message. His face darkened. Earth's orbital defenses have detected a massive incoming fleet, not Confederation ships. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Nix are coming here, General Yoon asked. To Earth? Arrival estimated in 6 hours, Park confirmed, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. They've grown bold after easy victories at our colonies. The Confederation? Kim asked. They're aware but offering limited assistance due to resource constraints. Park read from the message, his tone bitter. We're on our own. Bake stood up, determination clear on his face. The Phantom is ready. Let me take it out. Park looked at the captain, seeing the confidence behind his eyes. 1 experimental ship against a fleet. 1 ship they can't see or detect. Bak corrected. 1 ship that can move through dimensions they can't access. Kim checked her tablet. The dimensional drive is stable. Weapon systems are online, but we've never tested them in actual combat. There's no choice, Park said after a moment. Captain Bake, prepare the Phantom for immediate launch. Your mission is to assess the Nix fleet's capabilities and disrupt their approach if possible. As Bake left to prepare, Park turned to the others. Activate all planetary defenses, evacuate coastal cities, and send one last message to the Confederation. Tell them Earth is about to show them what humans can do. The room emptied quickly as everyone rushed to their stations. Earth prepared for its first interstellar battle, not knowing that their secret dimensional technology was about to change the course of galactic history. The Nix Armada appeared in Earth's skies like a storm of metal and shadow. Thousands of their strange ships hung over cities and oceans, their hulls shifting and folding in ways that hurt human eyes to watch. Earth's defense satellites fired immediately, but energy beams and missiles seemed to pass through the Nix vessels or disappear into sudden voids. In the command center beneath the Pacific, Admiral Park watched the battle displays with a grim expression. Conventional weapons barely slow their advance, he reported to the Global Defense Council. They're absorbing or redirecting our attacks through dimensional shifts. Reports flooded in from around the world. The Nix had begun landing forces in remote areas. Strange beings moved in unnatural ways, taking human captives for unknown purposes. Launch all remaining ships, Park ordered. Keep them occupied until the Phantom is in position. Deep in the underwater hangar, Captain Bake made final preparations. The Phantom floated in its launch cradle, systems humming with power. Beside him stood his small, carefully selected crew, Navigator Song, Weapons Officer Han, and Engineer Kang. This is not a test flight, Buck told them as they strapped into their stations. Everything we've worked for comes down to the next few hours. They nodded, faces serious but determined. All had trained for years in simulation, but nothing could truly prepare them for what they were about to attempt. Launch sequence initiated, Kang reported, her fingers dancing across controls. The hangar's massive doors slid open, revealing the dark ocean above. The Phantom rose silently, water streaming from its smooth black hull. Unlike conventional spacecraft, it needed no rockets to reach orbit. The dimensional drive allowed it to partially negate gravity by shifting slightly out of normal space. As they ascended through the ocean and into the sky, they caught their first real glimpse of the invasion. The Nix ships blocked out the sun, casting shadows across continents. Earth's defensive fleet, small compared to the invaders, fought bravely but ineffectively. Phantom to command, we have visual on the enemy, Bake reported. Proceeding with Phase 1. Acknowledged, Phantom. Park's voice came through. All Earth forces are aware of your mission. Good hunting. Vake turned to Navigator Song. Take us in. Full dimensional shift once we reach their formation. Song nodded, her face illuminated by the holographic controls. Course plotted through their center mass. Dimensional drive at full power. The Phantom accelerated, streaking toward the heart of the Nyx Armada. Enemy sensors detected them, and several ships turned to intercept. They see us, Han warned. Not for long, Bak replied. Execute dimensional shift. Now. Song pressed her palm against the activation panel. Shifting to 7th dimensional plane, she announced, voice steady despite the historical significance of the moment. The ship twisted, not vanishing, but sliding sideways into reality in a way the crew's human eyes struggled to process. The cockpit seemed to stretch and compress simultaneously. For a moment, each crew member felt like they existed in multiple places at once. Then it stabilized. Outside the viewports, the world looked different. The Nyx ships were still visible, but now appeared translucent, like ghosts. Strange colors that had no names in human language flickered around them. Shift complete, Song reported. We are now operating primarily in the 7th dimension. Status of Nyx sensors, Buck asked. Han checked his readings. No reaction. They've lost us completely. Their technology only monitors dimensions 3 through 5. The Phantom moved freely through the Nyx formation. To any observer in normal space, the ship would appear to have vanished. In reality, it was passing directly through what appeared to be solid Nyx vessels, occupying the same physical space but in a different dimension. Identify their command ship, Bake ordered. After a few moments of scanning, Han pointed to a massive vessel at the center of the formation. That one, channels. Take us behind it, Bak said. Prepare dimensional disruptors. Song guided the Phantom into position. The experimental weapons had never been used in actual combat before. Position confirmed. Bak transmitted to Earth Command. Deploying dimensional disruptors. Shifting back to normal space, Song announced. The Phantom partially rematerialized directly behind the Nyx command vessel, appearing as if from nowhere. Before the enemy could react, Han fired the disruptors. Waves of energy pulsed outward, not in normal space, but across dimensional planes. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Nyx command ship began to contort, its hull folding in impossible angles as 7th dimensional energy tore through systems designed to operate in lower dimensions. It's working, Kang shouted, watching her monitors. Their dimensional shielding is collapsing. Across Earth's skies, the effect spread. Smaller Nyx vessels connected to the command ship began to twist and fail, their carefully controlled dimensional abilities disrupted. Earth's conventional fleet, which had been equipped with partial dimensional tech based on the Phantom's research, seized the advantage. Their weapons, now calibrated to affect the Nyx's dimensional vulnerabilities, found their targets. All Earth forces pressed the attack. Admiral Park's voice came through every communication channel. The enemy is vulnerable. The Nyx formation, once so terrifying and organized, shattered into chaos. Their advantage lost. They found themselves facing the humanity that had mastered dimensions they couldn't perceive. Again, Bake ordered. Target their secondary command vessels. The Phantom shifted dimensions once more, disappearing from normal sight as it moved to continue its hunt. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Confederation had never been so quiet. 2 weeks after the Nyx retreat from Earth, an emergency summit had been called. Species from across the galaxy gathered, their attention fixed on the human delegation entering the hall. Admiral Park led the group, walking with straight shoulders and steady steps. Behind him came Director Kim, Captain Bake, and the crew of the Phantom. The humans wore simple blue uniforms without decoration, yet every alien eye followed them with new respect. Ambassador Kroll of the Bentari waited at the speaking platform. His large body seemed smaller somehow, his 6 limbs kept close to his torso rather than gesturing grandly as usual. As the humans approached, he shifted uncomfortably. The Confederation Council recognizes Earth's representatives, announced the High Counselor. Krull stepped forward. The Confederation acknowledges humanity's unexpected contribution, he stammered, his translator struggling to convey his discomfort. The defeat of the Nyx Armada was unprecedented. The chamber remained silent. Many delegates remembered how they had laughed at humans just months earlier. For 3 centuries, the Nyx have raided our territories, Krull continued. Our best minds found no defense against their dimensional attacks. Yet humans, in mere decades, developed technology that turned the tide. Park nodded slightly but said nothing. He had practiced this moment in his mind during the journey to the Confederation capital. The satisfaction was sweeter than he had imagined. The Confederation formally apologizes for. Krull paused, searching for words, for underestimating Earth's potential. We request full details of your dimensional technology. Park stepped to the platform. His voice carried clearly through the vast chamber. Perhaps primitive minds see solutions that evolved ones miss. A murmur passed through the alien delegates. Some shifted uncomfortably, others made gestures of agreement. Earth will share our discoveries, Park continued. But first, we require full disclosure about the Nyx. No more secrets. No more using human colonies as buffers without our knowledge. The High Counselor inclined its silver head. Agreed. The database will be open to Earth immediately. Second, Park said, humanity will no longer occupy only the frontier territories. We claim equal status and equal protection under Confederation law. This is highly irregular, began one delegate, but the High Counselor raised a hand for silence. Earth has earned this right, the Counselor stated. The terms are accepted. The negotiations continued for hours. By the end, Earth had secured not only protection, but also new territories, research partnerships, and trade agreements. Higher energy signature, more communication, the dimensional technology would be shared, selectively, with the Confederation. Humanity would no longer serve as cannon fodder. 3 months later, a new ship prepared for launch from Earth's orbital shipyard. The Horizon was larger than the Phantom, built specifically for dimensional exploration rather than combat. Its mission: to venture deeper into the higher dimensions than any being had gone before. On the observation deck, Director Kim watched Earth grow smaller as the ship moved away from the station. The blue planet shone against the blackness of space, beautiful and now safer than it had been in months. Strange how quickly things change, said Captain Bake, joining her at the viewport. After the battle, he had been promoted and given command of the Horizon. 6 months ago, they laughed at us. Kim smiled. They're not laughing now. The Confederation scientists still can't believe we discovered dimensional folding on our own, Bak said. They thought such discoveries had to build on centuries of progress. They don't understand human curiosity, Kim replied. We see walls as challenges, not boundaries. The ship's engines hummed as they moved beyond the moon's orbit. Soon, they would activate the dimensional drive for their first official exploration mission. What do you think we'll find deeper in the dimensional planes? Asked Bike, watching the stars. Kim considered the question. Project Umbra had opened doors that no one, human or alien, fully understood. The higher dimensions contained mysteries that mathematics could only hint at. Something no one has imagined, Kim finally replied. That's humanity's gift. We imagine the impossible, then make it real. Bake nodded and touched the control panel. Crew to stations. Prepare for dimensional shift. Through the ship, humans took their places. Many had come from the colonies that survived the Nyx attacks. Others were scientists who had worked on Project Umbra for years. All shared the same sense of purpose. Dimensional drive active, reported Navigator Song from the bridge. The horizon shifted, sliding between the fabric of dimensions. To observers from Earth, the ship appeared to bend in impossible ways before vanishing completely. Inside, the crew watched as reality transformed around them. New colors emerged, physical laws changed, and possibilities expanded. They were the first explorers of realms beyond conventional space, the pioneers of humanity's greatest journey. Earth had found its place among the stars not by following the path of other species, but by discovering their own. The universe, with all its dimensions, waited for them. Retroclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.